Conservative Kool-Aid drinker and founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, recently appeared on Fox News to add to the ongoing national conversation about socialism. And he said something that was basically as idiotic as you'd expect from a right-wing ideologue such as himself. But before I show you the clip, I do want to give you some context about Charlie Kirk and let you know what we're dealing with here. So the first thing you probably need to know is that he's just the prototypical partisan hack. Anything Republicans say is A-okay, and anything Democrats do is bad by definition. So for example, he praised Donald Trump for doing something he once criticized Obama for. He states on his last day in office, Obama pardoned the sentences of 330 federal inmates convicted of drug crimes, releasing them back on the streets. But just 4 days later, he said this about Trump doing the same thing. Trump courageously signs a pardon for Alice Johnson, an elderly woman over a sentence for a nonviolent drug charge and her first offense. Obama refused to do this, and Trump has stepped up to the plate to right a wrong. So I mean, it doesn't matter what the policy is. If Republicans do it, it's good. If Democrats do it, it's bad. There's no objectivity whatsoever. Now, another thing that I think it's important to know about Charlie Kirk is that he's either incredibly disingenuous or a liar, or I think the more likely scenario is that he doesn't even have an elementary grasp of American politics. And to kind of give you some insight into his thinking, this is how he describes the Democratic Party, which is basically a center-right, ideologically conservative political party.
You see the Republican Party, which has rightfully become the party of Donald Trump, which is about results, middle America, energy independence, and jobs. You look at the Democrat Party, they're becoming the party of Karl Marx. They're becoming the party of Karl Marx.
They're becoming the party of Karl Marx.
Democrats are becoming the party of Karl Marx. I mean, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about Charlie Kirk. He takes it a step further than other right-wing hacks. Other right-wing hacks, like Tommy Lahren, will just say, well, look, they want to be the party of socialism. They want to turn America into Venezuela. But he takes it a step further and actually says, no, they're actually the party of Karl Marx.
That sounds kind of dumb.
So that's Charlie Kirk in a nutshell. This is someone who is incredibly disingenuous. He's just out there to smear the left and promote Republican Party ideas. Now that you kind of have some context about who he is, I do want to get to his comments on socialism, because he was talking about just how hypocritical socialist professors in particular are on Jesse Watters' show on Fox News. And this is the gotcha question he posed to socialist professors.
If socialist professors really believe the nonsense that they profess, why don't they teach for free? Why do they sell the books back to the kids, and why do they charge so much per credit hour? If they're such benevolent and wonderful, communitarians and socialists, just do it for free. Get rid of the profit structure. Be a true example of that which in a Marxist society. But of course, it's really interesting. Those people that hate America, which I believe this is rooted in anti-Americanism.
I do too.
And what's so unique about America, we're the only country in the world, in the history of the world, where even those who hate it refuse to leave. I always notice that the biggest proponents of socialism aren't the ones waiting in bread lines.
If socialist professors really believed the nonsense they profess, why don't they teach for free?
Got him!
Got him! Now, judging by his reaction, you can tell that in his head when he said that, he thought he hit it out of the park. And you could see why he kind of got this boost of confidence after he said that, because Jesse Watters' reaction was basically this. But in actuality, logical and rational thinking individuals who are actually educated about social democracy reacted in this way. So to address the substance of his argument, not that there was much there to begin with, this argument is probably one of the dumbest arguments I've heard against socialism, because it proves that he has no fucking clue what socialism is. think about this. Individuals who are social democratic, who are progressive, they're not basically saying, take all of my money, I just want to live off the state, I want to suck off the state's teat. That's not what they're saying. They're essentially saying this: look, we're going to pay a certain percentage of our tax dollars every single year to the federal government, to state governments, so all we're asking in return is some benefits. It's called public goods. I mean, the state does things with our tax dollars. They create roads. They build bridges. There's a military to defend us from attacks, or in our case, to attack other countries offensively. But for the most part, that's part of the state. That's the state's responsibility, is to have a military, to do certain things that we pay them to do with our tax dollars. And what we're saying is that our tax dollars aren't benefiting us. You're taking our money and you're funneling it to the military-industrial complex. You're subsidizing big oil. And we're saying enough is enough. We want you to take our money and actually do something good. Maybe the money that we're paying in taxes should benefit us. Maybe we shouldn't die or go bankrupt if we don't have health insurance. Maybe we shouldn't be in debt forever for all of our lives if we decide to go to college. These are basically the arguments that we're making. But what does he do? He says, well, if you are truly socialist, then put your money where your mouth is and teach for free. Well, if you're truly a capitalist, Charlie, then stop driving on our public roads. Don't call the fire department if your house is on fire. Don't call the police if somebody's breaking into your home. That's essentially the logic that you're using here. And I get that argument doesn't make sense, but that's the point, because your argument doesn't make sense. The argument that I just said is equally insane, just on the opposite side of the spectrum as your argument is. Teachers should teach for free if they believe in socialism. I mean, nobody's advocating for authoritarianism. We're advocating for social democracy, where we simply get a little bit more from our tax dollars. That's it. It's that simple. But of course, even if he understands this, which I don't think he does, I don't think he even has a basic grasp of what socialism is, or even communism for that matter, given that he described Democrats as communists. But even if he knew what this was all about and knew what our argument was, he still would misrepresent it, because this is nothing more than a right-wing smear merchant, and his whole job is to smear the left. Turning Point USA is all about smearing left-wing professors who reportedly, quote, discriminate against conservative students. Now, Anna Kasparian of TYT did a really great piece on this, where she basically exposed how he has this watch list for professors that ends up leading to them being harassed and receiving death threats. So this is someone who is just really a piece of shit. I mean, there are individuals on the right who I think actually make more genuine arguments, like Sargon of Akkad. I disagree with him on pretty much everything, but at least he's arguing from a place of trying to understand where we're coming from. At least he's trying to dive a little bit deeper into these issues. But this jackass over here just says, oh, well, if you like socialism, why don't you teach for free? I mean, that's fucking insane. So this guy clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, and the fact that he has a following as large as he does is really sad. It speaks to just how uneducated and misinformed our country really is.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.